that South Africans, although we may be shitty fathers, we make the best uncles. And if you look at the comment section, people are busy saying, "Hori, dude, my child doesn't even want the father, nothing. Like wants the uncle." They'll fetch them at school. They don't mind paying school fees, feed the child.
Do you think parents with kids should date other parents with kids?
Yeah, definitely.
That makes more sense.
Definitely.
It makes more sense.
You guys have
You've got a common
relate.
interest.
it's a
common interest.
Score Q1.
Yeah, it's a common interest.
And if you know, I read somewhere someone was saying, no matter how you look at it, if you are a stepdad,
I also saw that.
do you believe that?
Yeah.
Now, well, it could be. I mean, after this, I'm not becoming a stepdad for shit.
I remember once.
Which jobs and careers have salaries that don't make sense for the actual workload?
That they have.
Personally, I would say call centers, having in hand the experience of being
I was
in a
about to
call
go
center.
there.
So I hear what you're saying, and it's very valid to say yes. I'm not saying that yes, everybody must get paid like the CEO. I'm not saying everybody on a certain level must get paid like the manager, or below the manager must be get paid like the manager. I'm against exploitation.
Definitely.
There's a lot of exploitation that's
my
taking
God.
place in the
My
country.
gosh.
Because now,
That
as
is-
a manager working at a call center, you need to have experience of talking to customers.
Yes, you should. That's
And
the
now
ranks.
because-
That's how it
exactly,
plays.
and
I mean,
now-
in the military, you start only this, only that, only
You
that.
can't
only
be a
that.
general
You don't just
that
all of a
does-
sudden, boom, general
Yeah.
manje. So petty is cool.
You can't be a-
That's right.
You fucking know how to do it.
Exactly.
Fuck that.
You
But
can't be a
something-
general that doesn't
Dubula
that
Lady
hasn't
is
been to
crazy.
war.
I'm just saying.
You can.
Again,
So for
All right, GSL, Global Streetz Live. We at it again. My name is Heatwave. I've got Lesejo, Mr. Dope Tunes. He's all about the vinyls and he's doing what he does best. Got my boy Kagiso. You know,
yo.
they call
Don't
him
mind the smoke.
They call him the hustler by nature, but criminal by law. And we've got our beautiful sister Neo, who is ensuring that all this naughty business is not taking place.
hi.
Thank you very much for tuning in. We are at it again. And today we are going to be talking about a few other things. Guys, I've actually forgotten of what we're going to actually be talking about today. So,
Why is
sorry,
that?
man. Huh?
Why is that?
Because we were having such a crazy conversation before we started the show that I ended up, losing track of
Right.
where I was. So please do pardon me, Street Squad. I got excited because, I was sitting
Why are you
waiting
mumbling your
to
words?
chat to you. Neo, you got my back?
Yes, I
As
do.
usual?
Of course.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay, we talking jobs. I know we don't like talking about work,
Oh, shit.
but
Shop
everybody
talking.
can relate to workplace dynamics, right?
Okay.
And so basically we're going to talk about which jobs and careers have salaries that don't make sense for the actual workload.
That they have.
Personally, I would say call centers, having in hand the experience of being
I
in
was
a call
about to go there.
center. I think there's some call centers, whether it's sales or customer service, there's just some call centers where the workload is way too much for what people
immense,
are earning.
yeah.
It's immense
Yeah.
for what people are earning. When they ask you, are you able to work under pressure? They don't necessarily tell you what type of pressure until you get into
Into it, nah?
actual work, and you're like, no, this is
Yeah.
way
You're like, nah, this is
overboard.
not me.
There's been a saying once at this person that says, I know I can work under pressure, but this is no longer
guy
working
begging
under
him.
pressure.
Yeah.
It's working under depression.
Exactly.
Meaning where they drive you to depression.
Practically.
And then they tell you that you said you can work under pressure, but it's no longer pressure. At first, you do a work of a single person, of which you can handle.
Yeah.
Even the pressures of that single person. Then you work a work of two people.
Yeah.
Then you work a work of
Different
three people.
Then you
departments.
find yourself
Different
working a work of
departments.
7 people.
I
Now you're
understand
working-
that.
now
Then
you're
they say, "Oh, you said you could work under pressure,"
And you might
it's just
think this is-
abuse.
And now you work in different departments. Your claims, your sales, your customer service, your all these other departments.
You know, it's crazy. In customer service, they expect you to service, they expect you to upsell,
Sell.
Yeah.
they
To
expect
retain.
you to retain, they expect you to handle claims,
Exactly.
and handle claims queries. And you think to yourself, these are 4 people,
And-
different people.
And they're not even increasing your salary.
And you know what's
like
messed
that.
up? One person in that department is earning more than you.
Yeah.
Bro,
You are now helping them do their work. Like, as a customer service agent, I'm doing claims as well.
Yeah, I
Imagine
think, I
earning
think
more
that's a
than you.
very...
imagine they expect you to upsell an angry customer.
Yeah.
This person is fighting with you because of service, and they still expect you to upsell something to
Upsell
them.
the product.
Yeah, but that's, like it I think a lot of companies have also just gone so robotic in just expectations.
Exactly.
To say, why do you expect people to be so robotic when you expect to be selling things to humans? Like, you're not selling to a robot who's just going to be like, okay, digesting, calculating, let me give you a response in the next 10, 9, 8, like you're speaking to a human being. So I can't expect you to upsell when you are pissed at the service that I have. And then I understand where you're coming from to say, now here's a person who's expected to sell because they've got probably certain metrics that they get marked
Yeah.
on, to say there's like I don't know if it's a quality assurance department that normally looks into how the call went, so they obviously survey the call just to determine how you fared in your call and what you actually did, and if you did everything that was actually supposed to be done. And then you get penalized because of the fact that you were talking to an angry client, which is a big fact, but now you didn't sell. How the fuck am I supposed to sell to a client who's
How the
pissed
fuck
off?
are you going to do
So you
that?
go from telling a
So
customer
it goes
that
back to personalizing. Like, you don't personalize anymore. You're just up for money. And I think it's a big turn off to clients as
Customers,
well.
yeah, 'cause you go from-
you go from
telling
this
a customer-
brilliant person who you were in the beginning of the call to this fucking dumb ass to say, do you just try and sell me something else when I'm telling you that I'm pissed at that other department that did not treat me nice?
you go from telling a customer you're not going to get a refund to telling them, would you like to subscribe to our...
But it's
So
it's cuck, eh?
it's really
like it's
messed up.
really you're literally making your business look like
Yeah.
you've got a bunch of lunatics.
And having experience being in customer service and working these different departments, I
Yeah.
was asking them, the people that actually survey the calls or whatever, emails, would be like, how would you answer this as someone who was working in customer service? You go from an angry customer
Yeah.
to having to sell to that same customer. How would you handle it? And it's
You
like,
know the other type of work, mfana, before I do the other type of work, if our para headset dog, you make me nervous.
What do you mean?
Oh shit, wapen.
Ain't that weird one?
I couldn't see
Yeah,
you,
those one,
Mind him,
dog.
he's-
but I can't see you. You know the other type of work that I feel like they're not getting compensated the way they're supposed to. It's construction workers.
I was about to say that. So
yeah.
to add on what
Yeah.
you're saying, LSG, there's a guy Okim Tsotsi who's currently doing the maintenance at my house now. And on Chala or dog, I'm thinking of leaving my 9 to 5. Get why? Because the gigs and sighting don't come daily. Aricho, kispanela transport. I'll tell you how to register ako whatever union or whatever needs to be
UIA,
registered.
all the other benefits.
And Ari, he's paying me 140 a day. And I need to pay over 60 rand to go and to come back. I think it's 60 to 80 rand to go and to come back. So I'm not getting any money. And he's like, dude, I'm now expecting my first child, so I'm not getting any money in that. He wants to leave construction and go into security. because he's currently doing firearm training. And I'm like, FY checker on the books, construction is making so much money.
It is.
But I think recently it's the value of being in construction is going down, especially when it comes to workers, because now a lot of big companies, construction companies, are looking to hire, I would say, illegal
Foreigners. Yeah.
So they don't necessarily need to pay them what they're worth.
Yeah.
So
because
I
they're
think
doing
that's-
it
Yeah.
back door.
That's
Backdoor.
where that's where everything changed.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now when you have someone who's actually here, like a citizen, and is looking to, they know how much they need to get
And
paid.
that's why we have such a high unemployment rate,
Yeah.
because when they calculate the unemployment rate, they calculate on citizenship.
Exactly.
They do not calculate it on, foreigners
What
or
you
anybody
deserve.
else that
Because
is
now when it
not
comes to-
legally in here.
South African citizens, obviously the constitution, there's a point in the constitution where it basically tells the construction
minimum wage.
company how much you need
Yes.
to pay this person, and
Yeah.
now you're having to compete with illegal foreigners. It's like, who are we going to choose between you?
No,
We're gonna choose
obviously,
the
they're
cheapest
fucking
one
businessmen. They're going to go for the
for the
cheapest.
cheapest.
Yeah.
So it's that's another issue that they're having in construction. It's no longer as it was before.
You know, when I think of constructions, I'm thinking these people are building complexes.
Bro, they make
people,
them
they
look
build
fucking
buildings.
beautiful.
Malls.
They've got like,
Bro.
But Mall of Africa.
yo,
And then we usually see these people like on the freeway.
Yeah.
But let's more vending, dog. And they're going home.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, these people, they just came back from building a mall.
Where I'm
These
cuckoo.
people, they just
Oh,
came back from
I
building a
mention,
complex.
By the
but
way-
where I'm cuckoo.
by the
Going
way,
back to the
that's
shack, dog.
a powerful statement to say,
Yeah.
here you are coming from building a mansion, but you live in a shack. That is so painful because it goes back to a lot of jobs that are just getting
I met this
that
lady.
that are had by just people. To say a lot of people are in jobs that they're selling a particular product that they don't know fuck all about, that they've never
fuck all, can't
either
afford.
owned
Can't
or
afford.
can't afford. Yeah. Well, what I mean by knowing fuck all about is that here you are, you're selling a car, but you don't fucking own a car, meaning you don't know fuck all about a car.
Or if they don't, when you say they don't know, they're building a mall that they don't know how much money they generate every year.
Exactly. Yeah. You
So
something
there's
like
this
that.
lady I met, Hanekilo Chuna, the tax return stalker. Right about the Michelangelo, the hotel.
Yeah.
Nobody text
So,
returns.
so she got
They've been fighting me for that shit.
the contract of doing the Michelangelo. Ke Mandlam Tembu used to pay 100 and something thousand for per
but fucking month.
for it. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
So she was saying, "Oh, dude,
You know
I
that
built
guy
that hotel."
disappeared, ne?
How did it
He
disappear?
disappeared.
Okay, like the alien.
He disappeared.
No, he didn't disappear. You know what I think
he
Mandla did?
disappeared.
Mandla
Mandla doesn't know where she is. Where he
doesn't
is.
matter. And I think
I'm
that
not
was
gonna
purpose.
lie, that name we haven't heard in a while.
He disappeared. That
No,
guy.
you know what he did?
Okay, what did he?
He saw he was running out, but he still had a fair share to sustain himself without the public knowledge.
He
So
disappeared.
yes,
that
he
guy.
might have gone broke in terms of from what he was, because I think what company was that, Gunje? Was it Transnet?
know.
Yeah,
I think Transnet paid him a good 100 million, if not mistaken. So he might have probably used 80 million, and he might have been left with
Nah,
like
he was flat out because he
Was he
asked the
flat out?
public
He disappeared. That guy, dog.
for funds to fly to the US because he said he had investments there.
could that have
Only
been
to
a
find out
stunt?
when he gets there, his investments went bad.
Adam
So
and
he
Spin
didn't-
down.
And then
but
he
anyway,
never
it's
came back. You know, he never came back, ne?
So
Literally. No one knows where he
maybe
is.
you hope go the States.
Yeah, he could be.
Maybe
No one
not.
knows. Bro, no one knows where he is.
Bro, you don't have to. You know how many millionaires and billionaires are out there that you don't know about?
Bro.
But I'm just saying.
I'm just
Anywho,
saying,
never
just
mind,
because you
Madam
don't know
Tem.
about it.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So as this lady Anna
Shit, we digress.
yeah. So as this lady Nacho, dude, I was part of the people that built the Michelangelo. One, I can't afford to go there. Two, even if I said I built this, they won't even allow me inside. So it's that type
Yeah,
of
it doesn't
thing.
mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
You're a peasant.
Wangtola. So it makes you realize, Hori, you
Face
can
it.
build something so marvelous, and you find you can't even afford to.
And that's exactly how it is in the job market.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people have jobs that require you to either sell or whatever, just like I just said now, you know, and you just can't afford this particular product. Or you can't even be seen living in the mansions that you are building.
You know, it's actually crazy if you think about it. How the people that work at the factory are Louis Vuitton.
Can't buy Louis
Can't
Vuitton.
buy.
They can't afford it,
Yeah.
But
but they made it.
Can't even wear it,
That's
dog.
cheap labor.
Or even car.
You know,
you know, check out-
You know what happens in Vietnam? You know, Nike is currently being, okay, if not mistaken, but
Packaged in Vietnam.
it's literally,
But it's made in China.
is it made in China?
It's packaged
Okay, but
in
I've seen,
Vietnam.
I think, which brand did I see that is
Yeah,
actually,
Apple's
Apple
packaged
is
in
packaged
Vietnam.
in
but it's made in
isn't
China.
Nike now made in, or some of it made in Vietnam?
Nah, packaging is usually in Vietnam.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, but
I thought
China
it
is
was
the-
made
because
in,
even with
is the
Apple,
manufacturer.
because these
China
are
is
like
the manufacturer.
countries that are like, you know, very next to each other. So yeah, it's expected for them to have the same type of
Do you think?
drawn in companies that
Do you think it was
are
going
buying
to
them.
be fair to be paid based on the hard work you put into your job?
I think
I
that
think
would have
it would be
been
much
ideal.
more. Yeah, ideal. I think it would be fair because now you know there's some big companies, big corporations where the actual workers on the ground not
Are
actually-
pulling a lot of weight.
pulling more weight than actually say managers
true.
and
And CEOs.
or operations or CEO or COOs.
Mm-hmm.
And now the people on the ground, let's say if I was I'm going to speak from my experience, customer service. The service that the customers get, we're the first people of contact, right? So if I have a problem with an app, I'm going to call customer service. You're not going to call the CEO. You're not going to call the
Yeah,
manager.
practically, yeah.
You call customer service, right? So without customer service, do you think that company would run? Without construction workers, do you think that company would run?
And
You
without
need those
customer
people.
service, you have no customer.
Exactly. So that experience that you have with customer service basically sets the tone of the company. I'm getting great service from Apple because of customer service. I can call them whenever I want to.
Yeah.
And they can help me navigate the app, navigate the phone, navigate whatever system that Apple provides for that phone or for whatever product that is sold there. So I feel like if the effort that the person on the ground puts in, if we were paid for that, I think it would be fair because now we put in a whole lot of workload into
Because
that.
I'm also thinking, hoy, the person that got the tender gets the most respect than the person that actually built
exactly
this building
Yeah,
and this mall.
yeah.
And you think to yourself, what the fuck?
But you know what? Having and being in business, nah, what I've realized is that you don't look on the contrary. If
Sure.
it fails, who takes on the risk?
Okay. So that's in
So-
the event that it fails. And I hear, okay, but continue. Sorry.
But business is not always about success. Sometimes that
But that's
business
the aim.
owner will take loans to pay the workers, would be in so much debt to make sure the business is operational. We look at the best of things, we don't look at the worst of things. So if I were to tell worker, if I haven't been paid in 3 months, will you allow me not to pay you in 3 months in order for you to get the salary that would be of an equal load or similar to mine? What would be the case in most instances?
It would be
Because if you think about it, nah, if that was the case, 90% of people will open their own businesses.
But at the same time, and I hear what you're saying, but you are talking, and it's a very valid example that you're making. But you know, I think in most cases we are talking about corporates that are already like very much in competition with other bigger
And already
corporates and already established. You get what I mean? So we're not talking like your smaller corporates. I think this complaint is not even complaint, but this common, you know, trait or this common behavior or practice is normally taking place in institutes that are already very well
Not really.
built and very well known and very well
Really.
established.
We can even talk about this Paza shop.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Sponsorship
I would
is not,
say-
I'm just saying.
We can even talk about LSG Abula Construction
When
Company,
you're talking about
5
people who are starting off, now I'm talking about
Already
corporates that are
established.
already well
But
established.
right now we're talking about
who are in the
business.
billions of.
I think
Because
Money.
companies that are in billions, they're not as much as companies that are in millions or thousands.
when
True,
it comes
that's
to what
I'm
you're
saying. When
saying,
you're talking
KG,
about companies that are in thousands and approaching
Yeah,
millions,
what I think
I'm talking about companies that are in billions and probably moving
Yeah.
into the trillions.
Be
But
that
what
as it
KG
may.
is
So
saying-
for example,
Yeah.
when the Ford Cougars were burning, who was taking liability of the failure of the engineers?
Oh, they
Management.
should.
No, it was the CEO.
CEO.
No, what I mean is that there needs to be a person accountable.
Accountable, okay.
what
So
you're saying,
what I'm saying is that
this And now another podcast.
Yeah. So when shit hits the fan, the workers don't get accountable. Don't take accountability.
I understand what you're saying,
for the
but
shit hitting the
in
fan.
your aspect, it's in terms of business. When it comes to business, taking that risk, it comes from the front line, basically the
So
upper heads.
basically what I'm saying is that-
and the CEOs. We come after they make that decision. So if you make a decision to say, I want to
Not
go
really.
this route,
Get off example.
Can I
You're
ask a
taking
question
that
once
risk
you've
to
given this
say-
example?
Before you
you are
answer,
taking
I'll
the risk
give you an
to
example.
say that I'm taking
I want
this
to ask a
route,
question, but
and
after
if it
you've mentioned
fails,
what you said.
this is what I'm going to lose.
Okay, let me give you an example. An employee, customer service, a client calls in, and the employee, by whatever reason, is pissed off and says, you know what? Fuck you. Is the client going to say, Hoiti saw me? Or whatever company saw me?
the company. Obviously.
Exactly. So the company is taking
Hit.
the hit and the loss of money or whatever. So for example, H&M, when they made that advert, Babaya, Mwana,
monkeys.
and the
Yeah.
monkey, whoever was responsible for that advertisement,
Was not
H&M
taking
took
the
the
hit.
blame for it.
Yeah.
Not the person who made that advertisement.
So the brand took
So
the
what
hit.
I'm saying is that there's a lot of accountability and blame the brand and the company is going to take for your losses
So
and
what
for
are you
your
saying?
fuck
Are
ups.
you
But I'm
saying,
sorry, but the
Jorge-
H&M example is a very terrible example, but I hear where you're going. However, what I want to just ask you guys now, what you are now talking about, Kagiso, and specifically what you are now, I hear you are more on the defense simply because of the responsibility that it comes with to actually own an actual company and run it. You are at a risk as an entity, as opposed to the guy who's actually working for the entity that is right at the bottom of the food chain. So, my question now is, do you think that these minor errors that we regard as errors could just be sabotage because you're not paying me well, you don't give a fuck about me? Because there was actually a time when, I can't remember, but there was a specific car brand, can't remember what it was, where their employees were so pissed at how their treatment was towards them that they started manufacturing bolts or car parts that could not be replaced. Meaning, here's a car that is made, it's perfect, it's nice, but when you need a replacement for that particular car, you can't get you will get a replacement, but that specific part will not fit into maybe the bolt that you're trying to fit it into. It's not just going to fit. Why? Because they deliberately made it slightly smaller, just so that your company takes a toll on now having to go back onto the manufacturing plant and make more, simply because you were probably greedy with money that you could have actually fairly paid these people. But now they're coming back because of how you treat them. You didn't give them benefits. You're trying to save at all cost. And what happens in most cases when these companies actually save? What do? They go for the guy right at the bottom. That's where they start.
Can I comment on that?
Okay.
Because I have experience.
I'm asking, could it be that?
I've worked for a company where something of that nature happened, right?
What happened? Yeah.
So I remember my father, he also ran his own business.
Uh-huh.
He once said to me, when I explained the situation that's happening at work, right? He said to me, it's very dangerous, especially for small companies or private companies,
Uh-huh.
where it's very dangerous for you to have an employee as a boss where they're unhappy. It's very
Yeah.
dangerous to the business because
That's what
now,
I'm- yeah.
you know, in
That's what I'm
big
getting to, yeah.
corporations, they have this GDPR
Yeah.
thing where they make you understand that you doing 1, 2, 3, or you sign way to say that I will not be selling this type of information to anyone else.
Yeah, to anybody else. Yeah, yeah.
So he said that when you have an employee that's upset, it's very dangerous to the company.
It is.
Because now that employee can literally sell this information
Practically.
to anybody else.
Exactly.
Competition,
That's true.
right?
That's very true.
And I saw it happen where I worked at a very a private company with just a small, staff, and this person literally went to the competition and was like, "This is what's happening at our company. I'm going to give
Yeah.
you this information."
Yeah.
And she was benefiting from selling
that information, yeah.
And it worked out for the
I
competition.
mean, if you're selling it to a competitor, then that's exactly what's going to happen.
and to a point where we had to close
Yes.
because now
Fuck.
this information was sold
It was
to the
leaked, yeah.
competition.
Like you're no longer relevant
Yeah.
because
And
the competitor now knows your next
Your
move.
secrets.
Yeah.
Do you know of a story of Pepsi and Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola, yeah.
Yeah.
There was an employee that sold Pepsi there.
Yeah.
Pepsi went back to Coca-Cola and said,
And
"Someone
yeah,
is
well,
selling
one
your
of the
shit."
CEOs.
Samsung and
Pepsi,
Apple
yeah.
as well.
Samsung and Apple as well.
So with the Samsung and Apple product, what happened is that Samsung hired the same engineers that created the iPad
Yeah.
for them to create the tablet.
That's why there's similarities
So
between the two.
the Apple ended up winning the court case, and Samsung being petty, they took a trucks coin to go to Apple to pay them back, but basically they were using the same engineers to fund that.
You know, the other thing I wanted to say about
But
this
I don't even
topic
know
is
if
that
that's worth really suing. I mean, if you're a contractor, you're gonna get anybody to use your services.
shit, you need to charge it.
It
man.
is it is very vital because now with what after that court case,
Look at this guy.
you remember
He doesn't want to open. He doesn't want to show.
Like guys, now I'm not
He doesn't want to show on the camera.
the joke, guys.
we're gonna cut it out, don't worry.
No, we don't have to cut it out.
So
They must
with
see what this guy
Apple-
does.
He doesn't want to show on camera. This guy. This guy wants to be anonymous.
No, but he has to be. That's the purpose.
No,
Right?
it's not the purpose. This guy needs to come on camera.
Now you
Mis-
come on camera when you go
He
to
wants to be
events.
mysterious.
Like
This
the
guy
last-
wants.
the last 10 events that we had.
This
He
guy
wants-
wants to be.
They met him. They met the ghost the last 10 events.
he
we
wants to
went
be mysterious. So as I was saying, with-
Funny is that when you go to events, he's not mysterious.
Puyaka.
They know him.
619.
No, no, no.
Puyaka. Wait, Mysterio.
No, but going back to what we're saying with Apple and Samsung,
Samsung, yeah.
after the court case was won by Samsung, you know, you would, as someone who's used Apple for many years and who's also used Samsung for many years, I would see the similarities. Like, you know, Apple has iCloud.
Yeah.
And then Samsung also, after the court case, they now had a similar system where they had a
Similar
cloud,
cloud,
a similar
yeah.
cloud. I don't know what they
Yeah.
call it, but they similar cloud. So it's like Samsung never had it before until this one employee did what they did.
Yeah.
And now they have it because now they won the court case. So it goes back to that employee sabotaging the company because they were just not happy
But-
with how.
The other thing,
But it
before-
makes so
before-
much
before
sense.
you say it, ne? The other thing I wanted to say, Jorge, I do agree with what you're saying, Jorge. Whenever the company is going to do bad, the accountability is going to lie on the CEO, the
Yeah.
person that's running the company, right? It's a similar thing to in a soccer club. In a soccer club, that's an environment where I feel like people are getting paid based on their efforts.
Okay.
For an example, I'm definitely sure for Cristiano Ronaldo, all the clubs that he has played for, he was earning more than the coach.
Yeah.
And the coach is bigger than him.
Fuck.
But because he's
Yep.
Cristiano Ronaldo, he was earning more.
Are you serious?
Exactly.
Shit.
However, when the company,
That
w-
name.
not the company, when the club is doing bad,
They
the,
blame
the,
the
the
coach.
chairman and the board of the
have
of
to
the club,
answer.
they asking the coach, "What are you doing? You're fucking up," right? And I do understand in that context. Yes, in that context, the people or the players, they're supposed to earn less than the coach.
I'll tell them, look, I think I'm paying Cristiano Ronaldo too much. Let's reduce his pay. Make my pay more than him, then we can
And the
start seeing
other
some
thing-
results.
The other thing with paying the ground workers more is that in a soccer club, it is easier for the players because they're playing together. It is easier for the players to just come together and say, listen, we don't like this coach, so we're just going to play shit. And it has happened so many times.
So sabotage is a
You know
thing.
what I
do
wanted
sabotage.
to say?
Sabotage is the thing.
What I wanted to say, there's
But
this thing,
sabotage also comes from unhappiness.
Yeah.
You don't
This is
get
good.
people sabotaging.
Sometimes they don't
For
like
no
the
reason.
attitude.
you will
There's
never be
nothing wrong with the
happy
coach.
if you're in a field that you're not meant to be in. Though.
Not necessarily.
There's nothing wrong with the coach.
What I
at
mean
the
is
time.
that what I mean that if you're a fine painter artist and you're in construction, it matters not how much they're gonna pay you. As soon as you settle into the salary that they pay you, you'll feel like it's not enough. That's because you're not happy. That's why I asked someone that if you won the lotto or win maybe 100 million and you're doing the call center job that you're in, would you be dissatisfied? And she said no. So a lot of dissatisfaction comes from personal life,
Yeah.
not necessarily from the job that they're doing.
Things you need to
Because
pay
if you really
for.
look at it, entry level jobs are that entry level jobs. As soon as they knock off, they don't go with the jobs home. A lot of CEOs or management, they'll knock off late because they need to take that home. That's work
true.
Home, and they need to like LSG Nacho. The previous episode that
That's true.
he sleeps at 2 a.m. Employees won't do that. As soon as it's 5, he goes home, he sleeps,
You knock
and
off.
it ends there. You understand? So what I mean is that they don't harbor the risk and responsibilities that other people handle. That's why there's a person who says that a lot of people are paid according to the risk that they take on,
Yeah, I
the
hear
stress that they
I
take
hear
on.
that.
So
I think. Okay, sorry. Complete.
no,
Complete.
go back.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, and it's very valid to say yes. I'm not saying that yes, everybody must get paid like the CEO. I'm not saying everybody on a certain level must get paid like the manager, or below the manager must be get paid like the manager. I'm against exploitation.
Definitely.
There's a lot of exploitation
Oh,
that's
my
taking
dog.
place in the
Oh my
country
gosh.
that is so unfair to just people. Like there are
Definitely.
people that are literally getting paid to go home, make lunch, and come back. There's fuck all else that they can do with their
You're working
lives
for
Definitely.
transport.
outside of that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not against the fact that yes, different positions
There was this
in
thing
the
that
company
was being
have
spoken.
different levels.
Check us. Or a CEO bonus of
Oh, yes, I
55
heard
million.
You know what I mean?
And an employee less than 3.5
That's what
or
I'm-
about
that's
3.5.
that's exploitation.
That is fair enough.
That's what I'm saying.
But also, there's this thing called the Pareto's distribution, where 80% of the workload is being done by less than 20%. So what does mean? There's employees that literally don't work, but they earn a salary. Then there's people who work their ass off, and they carrying 80% of
The
the
company's
profits of the
weight.
company. Yeah. But they earn the least amount, or the same amount as the same people that don't work. That's why you find people that like, I work more than my manager, but your manager's work is earning more than you. Your manager's
I can attest to that because I had this experience where I applied for a job where it said customer service, right? I'm there to help the customer navigate a certain app, to make sure they understand the policy. If there's something that they need to do, customer service, I'm the first point of contact, right? Then as time went on, now I'm working claims. I'm working specialty departments. Whereas those departments, they earn more than me. But now I'm here supporting them and I'm still getting the same salary.
You know what I mean?
I'm working 5 departments
Yeah.
with the same salary, whereas those departments, they're getting more than me.
You're getting more than you.
You understand?
Yeah.
And now I'm also working.
They're getting paid for you to help
Yeah.
them.
I'm
practically.
working a manager's job where if the customer's not satisfied with my service, they say, I want to speak to the manager. To which, if you actually read the policy or if you read the law of whichever country
Yeah.
you're in, the customer is entitled to speak to
to
a
speak
manager.
to your manager. Yeah.
And now management is saying to me, no, you have to de-escalate.
Just act like yeah.
You have to make sure the customer doesn't want to speak to me.
Practically,
Because
yeah.
I'm not going to come on the call to tell the customer the same thing you said. And now I'm
You
here
know-
de-escalating.
The other thing I don't like with
And that happens a
within-
lot.
A
eh?
lot.
It does.
They're the whole. I think a lot of times managers do tend to be so afraid to speak to clients. To say,
customers. Bro,
why the fuck are you in
Some
that
of them
position
don't
in the
even
first
have
place?
call center experience because now, as a manager working at a call center, you need to have experience of talking to customers.
Yes, you should. That's
And
the
now
ranks.
because-
That's how it
exactly,
plays.
and
I mean,
now-
in the military, you start only this, only that, only
You
that.
can't
only
be a
that.
general
You don't just
that
all of a
does-
sudden, boom, general
Yeah.
manje. So peti's kundla.
You can't be
Mama
a-
tinasis pami.
That's
Tubula
a-
lenja.
Apa
Now you don't
something.
fucking know how to do it.
Exactly.
Fuck that.
You
But
can't be a
something-
general that doesn't
Dubula
that
Ninja
hasn't
is
been to
crazy.
war.
I'm just saying.
you can.
Again,
So, for example, the president of the of South Africa, the generals report to him. They don't have to be in war, but they make decisions that can fuck up.
But
It's by
lead the
default.
Are
Yeah,
they
but
not
you see,
supposed to
that's-
go to
honestly
war
speaking,
to get to that position?
To be honest,
some countries don't
that
require
is-
that.
Ramaphosa has never been to war,
But he's a general.
he can tell generals what to do.
yes,
There's
but
some
you see,
countries where,
to
let's
some
say,
degree,
yeah,
you
Is
know,
that wrong?
It is
it
wrong.
is wrong.
very wrong.
Especially
So I'll
when
give
it comes.
I'll give you an
especially when it
example
comes to
now.
such decisions.
Countries
To say,
like
when you don't
Cuba.
know the mayhem that it may come with if you decide to say let's go to war.
There's some
But because
countries.
you don't have the experience of war, what are you gonna do?
Most
you're gonna
countries-
just give orders.
Yeah.
Even ministers
Most
that
countries-
are sitting on chair now, they've never been to war.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah, like your minister of health.
But I
They've
have-
never even
No,
sat in a classroom. Let alone
military.
war.
So there was a time in I think during COVID, Minister Rana only had like maybe a matric or certificate.
what I'm saying, they've never
Then
sat behind
Babako
a
states
desk.
they had masters. They've been maybe 3 tours of
They went up
Afghanistan.
the ranks.
Yeah, they literally have extensive experience of why there are generals or
Exactly.
the armed
That's how it's
ministers.
supposed
But
to be.
most countries where the general is from a military background and becomes a president, it has to mostly, from what I've read, it comes from coup d'etat.
It comes from?
They have to coup d'etat. They have to like overthrow the acting president of that time for them to run as president.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I mean is that there's countries like Cuba where they've separated government
From
Military.
and let's say
militant.
law enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meaning that the law or government cannot dictate what the
The
law
military.
enforcers
Yeah, I think
must
it's
do.
also because
So
of just personal
that came about
experiences.
during more, let's say, Pablo Escobar era. Because Pablo Escobar would buy, let's say, politicians and say, you know what? I want to do 1, 2, 1, 2. Here's a couple of millions. Let me do what I want to do. Then it got to a point that they see, oh, you know what? It's getting out of hand. The states are now sitting on our neck, and they divided the both branches. Né? To a point that the government was like, no, let's extradite Pablo Escobar to the US. Because what and the basically the legal system was like, no. Because now if we extradite him, his soldiers are gonna cause an
Havoc,
internal
yeah.
war. Yeah.
So
You
basically
understand?
what he was doing is like
it will be
expulsion.
it will be like a warfare. It's not gonna be good for us. It will be good for the states, but not for us. They're like,
Civil war.
yeah, civil war. They're like, we'll arrest him internally. And the president was losing his mind. And they're like, don't forget, we don't report to you. We are an independent entity. We don't
Yeah.
report to you. We make our rules and we deciding who we're not
So
going to
there's like,
extradite
there's
this
like
man.
a benefit and
Yeah. So now imagine
advantage and a disadvantage.
imagine
to
no
that
if
shit.
Thabo Bester knew someone in a high position. Do you think he would still be in
He
prison?
does, by the way. But
No, but I mean a proper position. Do you think you'll still be in prison? Because some other countries, they even buy people to serve a sentence for a specific type of person.
yeah,
Definitely, especially
yes.
federal.
I mean,
Like now, there's that person who killed Chris Honey, who's now been extradited back to his home country. This man committed murder, not only of anyone, but a high-profile case.
And apparently
he was
brought in.
negotiating that for him to be released, he will release the names of the people who ordered him to kill Chris Honey. Till
That
date,
one-
we don't even know
that
who it
was
is.
Probably
And
shaking a
apparently
lot
he
of
was
people.
brought in all the way from Poland to actually execute this type of thing. It's not like he was here from beginning of apartheid to actually do this.
you know, and they probably took care of him.
They
While he was
did.
inside.
Definitely.
He was living
Definitely
nice.
Because he would have been killed inside prison if he
Exactly.
wasn't.
Anyway, what's the next topic?
Okay,
What's the next topic?
let me ask you just to
Shit,
lighten the
I'm sure
load.
we've been going on at this episode topic.
No, I
for like
think
good
I think a
30
lot
minutes.
of
It's very
street
passionate topics
squatters.
because we relate to them.
Yeah, a lot of street squads
True.
can actually relate to this, you know,
type
and I
of-
think
yeah.
almost everybody in the country can
Yeah.
relate to this.
true.
Somewhere in their lives or currently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because, having to relate to something, I think we can all relate to Heatwave. I was actually speaking to my dad about the Heatwave, and he actually highlighted something very important, that this Heatwave not only affects us in terms of how
Human
we're
beings.
experiencing the heat wave, in terms of the heat and everything.
Yeah.
It can also go into economics,
Yeah.
health-wise,
Yeah.
and all, it can be a domino effect.
Yeah, it can.
So I
Bad
asked him,
one.
I was like, in terms of health-wise, I think we can pinpoint what it actually does to us health-wise. The heat, you can be dehydrated, you can be 1, 2, 3. But economics, how does it affect us economically? He was talking about,
Yeah.
being...
So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I think, funny you're saying this is because I also came across a video earlier on today where this woman is talking about how she actually gets exposed to the sun, and she likes getting exposed to the sun because it is a natural energy source, and not only
Yeah,
does it
apparently I've heard that before.
not only does it charge, other things, but it also charges us as human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Economically
So
as well.
it is very important to just get the natural, energy, the sunlight. It's good for the body. And she was more on a contesting side of, the topic or whatever she was just saying at the time, because she was just literally saying it's just so sad how the government is constantly trying to just get you away from everything that is just everything that is good for you, for your health.
That can enhance your
That
lifestyle.
is actually, that you are supposed to experience, because that's what the world is about. Like when the sun has been there for thousands of years before we were born, and it's still there, still burning, still a natural source. But now science is somehow frowned upon it, to say, hey, don't get too exposed. Yes, too much of something is bad, but they tend to make it seem like it's not good for you. But now coming to what you are also saying in terms of, yes, the heat wave
economy,
economically, I think it can be a bit detrimental, simply because of the fact that we look at things like the first base nature,
sunscreen,
your cattle, besides us, but besides like harm to us as human beings. But when you talk about economic, you look at crops, for instance. Agriculture, they are probably taking a big toll, because this is what's going to eventually cause a drought. And when there's a drought, it means the plants are not growing, the plants are actually burning, because there are instances where plants actually burn.
There's not
because
enough
of the
rain,
because of the heat. It's not even just them not getting fed enough water. Now it's more of them burning because of just the amount of heat that is in the atmosphere. You know what I mean? So economically, that already on its own is just really shitty.
Because I was looking at,
because that means the people who are in the agricultural sector, who are selling or having farms that are selling these crops, are not going to economize, meaning it's also going to fuck us over if we are exporting anything that is of a natural resource, such as the agricultural side of things. We are losing. Same thing with the cattle, or livestock. Let me rather say livestock. If they don't eat the grass that is burnt, they're not going to eat burnt grass.
All the water.
They don't get water. It's a drought. They eventually die, and we can't slaughter a cow that is already dead. We need to slaughter it ourselves,
I was even looking
So I think that's my part on the economical side of disadvantages of the heat wave. I think that's what I can actually just put in.
Because now looking at, when it comes to water, when you obviously when there's this type of heat, you want to be hydrated, right?
Yeah.
And being in a country where we are, when it comes to water, it's like some parts of the country have a water crisis. There's droughts.
Yes.
The dams are drying up, and we depend on these dams to supply us with water. So let's say, for instance, if we're getting supply from Lesotho, that dam, if it dries out, what's going to happen? It's going to hit us hard, right? And I was also looking at the water prices when it comes to still water in shops. It's gone up. Sunscreen, it's gone up, because now we're experiencing this heat wave that I would say we haven't experienced in years. It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Probably not even experienced.
But do you think we've gone soft? Do you think our forefathers needed sunscreen?
That's what I was saying before before you returned. That's what I was actually saying.
It could be. Maybe
say we need the sunlight.
Maybe we are soft.
It's a natural energy
maybe
source.
Rato complain.
Yeah, we're too fucking soft, bro.
Because you can imagine how they lived back then, and I'm sure probably the sun was way bad back then.
No,
compared to now.
They didn't have like your air conditioners.
They didn't have anything.
But do you
maybe
think
all they
in terms
relied
of
on
global warming,
there's also
the type
global
of
warming
heat that we're
so
experiencing now, do you think the heat that our forefathers were experiencing is as intense as it was now?
Definitely.
Do you think so?
There's a debate between scientists that even if global warming is actually a real thing.
Oh shit!
I saw something like that online.
Because now.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because the weather patterns that you're experiencing now is not a new phenomenon. It has been it's revolutionary.
But maybe the number of occurrences in a very short space of time is what makes it weird. Yes, it might have occurred back then, just because of just natural climate. But now it's more occurrences as opposed to how much it was. So if, let's say, for instance, then it was like it happened only after every 5 years. Now it's happening literally every year or after every 6 months type of thing.
The other thing I'm thinking about is that we are probably just soft, like you say,
Arakefa.
because
They do
you can
say we're the
imagine
softest generation.
You can imagine the type of heat wave in places like Limpopo they're experiencing. This is probably normal to them.
Closer to the equator, Kaibona Limpopo. Closer to the equator,
Because-
it's much
okay.
hotter.
Arlington,
Okay, can I say
this
this?
is probably normal to
But
them.
remember, we at I won't say bottom, but we're more southern to the equator or western.
Okay.
However you want to see it.
Namibia, they were they were crying about.
Nigeria, dog. There's a reason why when they here they wear flip flops even in winter.
Yeah.
Because that side they say it. If you check some of the places, like they leave the doors open. That's why by night it gets in when you open the door.
Yeah.
It's because in summer they leave the doors open and for air to go
For
in.
wind, yeah, for
It's
air.
so humid that you're
From
right.
what
It's
I've
very
read
bad.
Okay, sorry,
is that
no.
those type of countries like Congo, DRC, Chad, Niger,
Yeah.
they are more closer to the equator than us. Limpopo is said to have a tropical weather, meaning that it has best of both rain, sunshine, and
Yeah.
even winter. We are basically in between. Whereas those countries, it's mostly heat, summer, it's hot, more hotter than us. So we have best of both. So right now, what we're experiencing now,
just
if
one.
you will look at back then, it's worse than it was back then. We are now experiencing snow in winter, where we haven't experienced snow back then.
Yeah.
Even our forefathers can't say that we
had
experienced snow.
snow, yeah.
We're experiencing snow. We're experiencing extreme heat wave. I remember I was reading an article during the year where India was complaining about heat wave. It has been at its highest this year alone. Back from when you were to record from 5 years back, this was the worst heat wave they've ever had. And now when you look at South Africa, I saw a similar article. I was like, this basically we're complaining the same as India. The heat wave is much more intense than it was back then in 5 years ago. So I would say global warming, if as scientists are saying, could be a debate to say, is global warming a real thing? I would say that for me, from my experience, I'd say it is a real thing because now this heat, I don't know.
But you know what's debatable? Deserts were once tropical places.
Yeah.
How did they dry up? There's reason why there's dead logs or there's trees in the desert.
There was life.
There was life. It was once a tropical place that just dried up.
Like your Namibias.
Yes. So it doesn't happen in one instance. It literally
It's
takes,
gradually
yeah.
accumulating. Yeah.
It takes long for it to happen. There's a reason why even like your Khoisans and even us Bantu people, we migrate generally as time goes by because you go to where there's life. You understand? So if you're saying global warming is a new phenomenon, why are certain regions of the place drying up and other regions of the place getting more life? Weather patterns change as time goes. It's
Could it
not a
just
new
be now
phenomenon.
accelerated now because of just
It could be.
everything that we're doing.
It could be, but
Back
I'm saying
then it
is
was
that
just
it's not-
gradual. Now it's just like, it's moving at a totally different speed as opposed to how it might have been moving, back then
I
before
guess-
everything else was probably just created.
Yeah, I guess that's why there's a debate now than back then, because now it's like, is this thing actually real? This global warming thing is
Yeah.
real or not? But
I definitely do think that we probably just soft.
Yeah, we just soft up.
You know, funny about what you said. I actually wanted to comment on that to say, and I was actually with you the other day when we met this lady who mentioned that they are actually from Mpumalanga and they experienced, greater heat than what is currently experienced in Johannesburg. Nah? But they thought that they would actually be able to handle the heat in Johannesburg, but they felt like, fuck, they just can't. Their temperatures are much higher. And just like, Johannesburg, we are a bit lower in terms of heat than Pretoria is. But if a Pretorian had to come here, they'll be like, fuck, it's actually fucking hot, in the country. So I don't know.
So you are
I don't know if
saying
it's just being soft.
There's
Because
something-
this lady she wasn't like our age.
So what you are saying is that we are, what do they call it? With land, we are above sea level.
Yeah.
We're
She
certain
mentioned that as well.
level above sea level.
She said it's humid,
and
yeah.
because they are closer to Namibia and the ocean,
Yeah.
it's a bit more, is it
Humid.
humid or what?
Yeah, it's
so
humid.
meaning that our air, although it's blowing,
dry.
but it's very dry and
Yeah.
hot. As opposed to them, it might be hotter, but their air is more cooler and
There's a bit of moist in their air.
I understand.
As
So it
opposed to
depends
us.
on the sea level rise that you are in. That's why World Cup, when you hosted it, they were complaining because certain regions, if they are below sea levels, that even Nabazamo keva polo, but it's not curvy because there's less air or that's why back to Nabat, it's the Jabulani ball that is the
What?
blame.
Even
And
if-
There was that.
yeah.
Fuck.
I think that's why Dubai
I don't know that. I'm not a
hosted the
fucking
World
fan, so
Cup.
you must know that I would not.
They're crazy.
Yeah,
know
even
this.
with Dubai, I think when they hosted the World Cup, they made sure that it's not in hot temperature because Dubai is very hot.
Oh no, they have to fucking control what weather patterns
it's
are there.
very hot.
No, they must relax. We've played soccer in all the weathers. I get it.
Now they're crazy those ones because even yesterday, fuck. Even though I was,
You're
I
disappointed.
was,
skis and
even
Who
though I was
lost?
attending my
okay,
kids' graduation, I was watching soccer, right? Because I mean, fuck it,
You're a fan.
I have to,
That's
you know. So I was watching soccer. So we were playing against Al Ahly from Egypt,
Yeah.
Pirates,
who was playing?
right?
Oh, Pirates and who?
And Al Ahly.
Al Akha. From Egypt. Oh, okay.
From
It sounds
Egypt,
like
yeah.
yeah.
Sounds
So
Arabic.
they don't like playing at 3 o'clock in South Africa
Who?
because
Al
it's
Akha.
very hot.
That's when the sun
And they're not
peaks.
used to that weather, and they take it as a disadvantage against them. So they like playing at night when they're playing like down in the south.
They must relax. Also, them.
It's
Right.
hot
Oh.
up there, bro.
But because we were playing a home game, we can decide what time we want to play,
So
and we decided. And they don't like playing at that time, and it's because the weather patterns between this side and
That
their
side
side
is
they're different,
different. Yeah.
totally. So it goes with regions as well.
definitely.
But aren't we on the same? What is this?
Time zone.
No, we're on different points.
In different points.
So we're in the
different
southern
points.
hemisphere. They're in
in
like
the north.
No. I'm just saying, like, okay, so it's got nothing to do with like time. It's more on just what
Geographics.
weather.
Yeah, climate.
Okay.
Weather and geographic. Because remember when
Because they're not. I know
'Cause
for a
remember
fact they're not
Egypt,
getting fucking jet.
if you look
lag,
at-
so they're not. Shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, because if you look at Egypt, it's more closer to the northern hemisphere than the southern.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then if that side,
So I think we are on both safe sides. So I don't know what they're complaining about, as opposed to the equator.
we're on the southern side. Of the
Yeah,
equator.
they're on the northern side.
So if
so
it's
they're not
winter in
affected
Europe,
either.
Probably will be winter in Egypt as
They
well.
must relax. We've got more.
But what do you think, Deva? I think you will be in a position to touch up more on this. Of a woman who received 7 million of life insurance, but unhappy that she's been excluded from the boyfriend's 21 million provident fund.
Yeah.
Is she being greedy with that?
I think
Say it
she's-
again.
So she got the 7 million of the life cover, life insurance for the boyfriend, but she was excluded from
boyfriend
the
or a husband?
boyfriend.
So the
But she-
boyfriend is dead.
Cry me a
Yeah,
fucking
he passed
river.
away. He
But
passed away.
also 7 million from the life insurance.
And then
But she's unhappy that she was excluded from the 21 million from the provident fund.
that the daughters
Cry me a
received.
fucking
So
river.
the boyfriend had 2 daughters.
Doesn't
right?
she think this is 21, 7, 14, 21, 28?
So just
She
to-
got that portion.
So how much did
relax.
the kids get?
So the kids got
21.
21 million, and the
Oh, how many
girlfriend,
kids are
the
there?
boyfriend made a provision to make sure that she gets 7 million.
Okay.
And his daughters, which is 2 daughters, they get 21 million. So she got the
Oh, 2
7 million.
daughters.
Yes.
Okay.
So she got the 7 million, and then now she hears that the daughters are getting 21 million. She
But
wants
she's
part of
fucking
that.
bederf. She's fucking. She's
She
fucking
wants to
spoiled.
put
The
that.
daughters, if they split it, it's also
Boyfriend.
Yeah.
There's
Yes,
a law
his
now.
bruh, she's pissing me off already.
I mean, there's a law now where it caters to unions, meaning that even if you're not,
Even if I understand.
married-
I heard about that.
Yeah.
But look, I think it's evenly split. These are daughters, meaning they still have a long journey to go in terms of
Why is she mad?
trying. Why the fuck is she mad, bro? 7 million. Did you even have 7 million? When you
She
gonna cry
didn't.
about 7 million?
She didn't.
You must be. I'll be
She
grateful
didn't
for
even-
1 million.
She didn't have.
You wanna
one.
fucking come and cry because you got fucking 7 million? You fucking bederf, young.
No, but she for me she's crazy. I am definitely sure that she did not even have 1 million. Why the fuck are you mad at 7 million?
Bruh.
Where the fuck were you
see
going to
how
get
greed, You see how greed just gets us. Because you're greedy, you just wanna feed off everything that you can access.
And the sad part is that the boyfriend made provision that she gets it.
it? 7 million.
Why do you think the first comment I made, I was like boyfriend or husband, and you were like boyfriend. I'm like, what the fuck? What? Even if it was a wife, ne, or husband, I would still be like, what the fuck? He played the role that he was supposed to play. Why are you upset? If you got 0, then you would be like, I'll
And-
start to ungipe 1 million.
And if you look, the division between the
bruh.
daughters is like 10.1.
yeah, 10.5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10.5.
10.5. So 10.5. It's not so far off for what you got.
Exactly.
So
Bro,
now that's
when-
7 million and Provident
Why
Fund.
do you think I'm saying already? At least they still have like a journey to run. That's why they got 10.5, 10.5.
Exactly.
7 for I would have fucking given a 4.
Bro, I would have given her 1.
Thank you. Bruh, she's
A
fucking
girlfriend.
bruh.
Well, when if it's a wife, then I know who she needs to take care of
Even
my
if
kids.
it's a wife, ne? You are also just ensuring already. Okay, if you've got kids with her, it's different. Even if you don't have kids with her, it's that thing you're bruh. Like, what the fuck? I want to make sure that these kids are secure. Whoever is probably even in a trust to say, ensure that these kids get, schooled right, they get supported right, they do whatever that needs to be done.
She's crazy.
Bruh,
She's fucking crazy. Because I'm thinking to myself, oh, if it's a girlfriend, Mfana as a girlfriend, this is someone, remember a girlfriend is someone that I have not made lifetime commitment to. Right?
Bruh.
Meaning, Hore, this person can move on anytime.
that's
And she doesn't owe any allegiance to your daughters
Bro.
if they don't share
So wait,
the same.
do they share the daughters? Or you're not sure?
I'm
Okay.
not quite sure.
Fuck.
But if they don't share the kids,
Even if they
doesn't
don't share,
owe any allegiance
those
to
are
your
your
daughters.
kids.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of money. You should be
Bruh,
happy.
the fact that this
One
is so
dollar.
I feel like this is evenly distributed. Honestly speaking,
Bro.
I would have given her 3 million and took 2 million and put it in 2 million for each daughter. And just, this is a life that, if they play well with this money, it's a lifetime guarantee.
Bro, she can fucking buy a franchise, got 7 million,
Exactly.
and stay at home and become a owner spa. A franchise.
She mustn't fucking come out. Bruh, even if franchise game one is like literally just taking all the money and sinking it into a risk. She can take 1 million and live off it for the rest of the fucking life. That's how well that amount could have been. And this is if you're living a normal life.
She can literally buy a house and a car with that money and still start a business.
Nah, I think she's very greedy. That's some greedy ass fucking shit.
She's very greedy because I'm
Nah,
thinking to
she's
myself,
greedy,
what
bruh.
kind of a person are you going to be?
I don't
that's
care.
gonna be crazy.
Bruh, 7 million will literally pay for everything I've ever done for you, even if it is a thing.
But you think the laws are against men?
The laws are fucking against men. The laws are very much against men. We've seen it so many
Because
times.
if the tables were turned, let's say even in divorce or anything, do you think the men was gonna get?
And thank you for
spousal
asking that
maintenance?
question
Even
because
in
that is
child
so
custody.
true.
Yeah.
You know, the mother of the child is taken as a primary caregiver. Meaning, Hore,
Whatever
by
happens,
default,
by default,
by
you
default,
are supposed to take care of the
they're
child.
going to go with the mother, not you. But also, I've thought about that law, ne? Hore, the mother is a primary caregiver. I've also thought about that law, Hore. Also, it's beneficial to the man.
No, what do you mean beneficial to the men?
For a guy that doesn't want to stay with their kid, it's beneficial with them.
No. I think, Mamela, it shouldn't be that thing, Yore. They get the thing. What if when you're a guy that really wants to stay with your daughter?
That is why I'm saying, Hore, to a guy that doesn't want to stay with the kid, it's
No.
beneficial.
Remember, that only comes into place if you're both fighting for the child. That's what-
Just to add, ne,
That only
onto
comes into
LSG,
place
I mean, Koitse
if you are fighting
there
for
was
the
this
child.
tweet that I was reading, I think earlier this morning. This guy is posting with his kid, and it's like something like, my heart, something like that. Then the baby mama responds is like, if only you are like this to your son.
Oh, I saw
Then the guy
it.
responds
Shit,
is
I think
like,
I saw that.
yeah. Then the guy
Saw it.
responds is like, if you allowed the DNA test like I
I
requested,
saw that.
now he's your child. Deal with it. So
Which is fair.
yeah,
It's
like
very fair.
It's very fair.
they did, because there was this statistics. I'm not sure if it's true or what, but this guy was saying that if DNA tests were to done on all kids, 60% of fathers won't. be
Yes,
their
I saw that shit as well.
biological
60% of fathers will be
Probably.
shocked.
Dog. I
Will be shocked. Meaning,
I don't even think
meaning we'll have a
60%,
further
dog.
decline.
40%.
Would have a
of the
further
ch-
decline
of the
in fucking
fathers.
poverty, bro.
I also saw a confessional where they asked women to basically confess anything, and majority of the women confessed that basically one of their kids is not actually their husband's or their partner's kid. They are raising someone else's kid, but they would go to the grave with that information.
Yeah, obviously they
And
would.
If DNA tests were actually conducted, at
Yo, if DNA were conducted,
You know,
would be
And then you know what I said? Nah?
seeing flames, boss.
There was this law I was reading. you know, if you're in a relationship or married, it doesn't matter that child is yours or not. It's your responsibility.
Fuck that shit. Who's low in our country?
Yeah, in
It
South
is a
Africa.
law like
If
this.
what?
So for example, let's say you married to Neo, and the child is not yours. It's your responsibility that the child's welfare is.
Okay, whoa. Did Nell tell me that this child is mine?
Told you or not,
No.
it's your responsibility.
So I've also
Because you are married.
Yeah.
So that means whatever comes out of there, it's your responsibility. Even if you divorce and it's not your child, the court can order you to say you must pay.
But
Thank
does
you, I'm
that
not getting
law-
married.
But that law does it not apply only if you already taking care of the child?
Yes. So
So even
Because I'm thinking to myself, Hore, if
Yeah,
you're
if
gonna
I'm
get
getting
the
married,
child
yeah.
used to a certain lifestyle, then you need to maintain it.
So I'll give you another example. Ne? Let's say Huneo, you the baby daddy. Hoyt is the husband. And you want, let's say, what you call that? And so you want visitations and
Spousal,
all that young one. And the court can decline you. And they say the child is better off being in the hands of Hoyt than you being the biological father.
Shit.
Yeah, because
Even-
you're a gangster, sir.
even
No,
for women-
even if you works a normal 9 to 5.
even for women, I read a case where
Nah,
So
I'm just
basically, they'll
fucking
say financially or whatever, that child is
better
well
off with him.
Yeah.
with Hoyt. Even if you want to be a present father, they can say, you know what,
You have no means.
you have no means, and we're gonna cut you out. Hoyt is a better suit.
even for child support, I read somewhere where I was reading a case where now if I'm earning more than my husband, ne? And now my husband's obviously happens to have a child outside the marriage. Now I'm taking care of my kids and his kid with this other woman. He passes away. The woman can now come and say that you are basically almost like paying child support. Can go and claim with the court to say that
Yeah, you were.
the
you were
person that's
supporting-
supposed to
Shit.
pay the child support is no longer here. The court can actually order me
To pay.
to continue paying child support.
That's what happened with Mary J. Blige.
Hey, you must be careful how pecha Antoine. Pecha fell
That's
To
what
add on that,
Yeah.
You know, just
there's a law on
before
that. Ne? So
You know
if
that's
we're
what
not,
happened to. So I just want to comment on hers. It's not the same thing, but it's similar. It's actually spousal support that actually happened to Minnie Lamini, because there was an article that I actually read where she's now being told to
Pay
I could be
spousal
wrong.
support,
I could
yeah.
be wrong. Was that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's literally paying. What is her husband's name again? Ex-husband?
Something Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
Quentin
Yeah,
Jones.
Quentin Jones. Yeah, she's literally
Quentin
now
Jones.
paying, Quentin, on a monthly basis, and it's like spousal support. I don't
But-
fucking know.
That's the same thing that's happening with Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
but that's different to what Nemo said.
Yeah, no, it is different.
So
That's what I'm saying.
what
It's
he's saying is
different,
that
but it's like
this person has no allegiance to the kids, but still needs to
I have to
cater
pay.
for the
I have to pay
kids.
that kid.
Simply, it's only girlfriend allowance. That's why if
It's similar because of
girlfriend
lifestyle,
allowance,
to say, this is what you
don't
got me used
send with bank transactions,
Cash.
because the girlfriend can come later on and say this person
I used to live through this motherfucker.
Yeah.
If the
So
court
you
can
need
trace
to continue
it for more than
paying.
6 months that you were actually no becha motoka unomrumela 5k go bank account high. If they can trace it for more than 6 months, then
And
you gotta
no,
continue.
a paycheck of 5,000 notes. Make sure you do the boss, because we must pay.
You know, I read somewhere someone was saying, "Hore, no matter how you look at it, if you are a stepdad, ubari."
I also saw that.
Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Now, well, it could be. I mean, after this, I'm not becoming a stepdad for shit.
I remember once.
I'm not even
No
becoming
matter
a
how you
patch
look at it,
Hello,
I patch and pest.
I think once Karen
Until you
has,
come home.
but it means for ubari, you have no self-esteem. It means you can
you are
settle for
settling.
anything.
Yeah, you're settling.
Yeah, practically.
I remember once
I
Karen has
believe
said
that.
something
You do.
about Mselugu
I'll never
or
become
something.
a stepdad.
Mselugu kapag mang-
Selegu.
Mselugu. Abu Are, if the baby daddy couldn't handle the baby mama, who are you to think that you can handle the drama that comes
But
with the
it,
baby
yeah,
mama?
that's yeah.
So-
but Utwile AK we think, sorry, Kagiso. You know what he said? AK in one of his lyrics, he said, I can never imagine being a stepdad. And I think that came from a very different type of knowledge and foreseeing bullshit.
So let me ask this question: do you think parents with kids should date other parents with kids?
Yeah, definitely.
That makes more sense.
Definitely.
Makes more sense.
You guys have
You've got a
can
common
relate.
interest.
it's a
common interest.
Score Q1.
Yeah, it's a common interest.
And if it is 2-2, 2-2.
Because I remember I had an experience
Kasi
where
2-1.
I was
2-0 or 3-0.
Score
I
match
remember-
like a 2-0.
There was a colleague Abu Are. Although she was married before the kid came in, ne?
Who?
Are, a colleague.
Okay.
Abu Are. When I was just married without the kid, and when I was married with the kid, the mindset is different. So, for example,
Thank
Hoyt
you.
doesn't have a child. Ne? Never mind the finances and all that. Hoyt doesn't have a child as yet. Ne? And gets with someone that has a child. Those mindsets are totally different. Priorities are different. If Hoyt's priorities are to hola, apa pothola, alo relax, lema chanting, ona need nappy and whatnot, there's gonna be conflict.
Yeah.
And Hoyt, it took me so long not to have a child because I want to enjoy my money first before I commit to such a long time commitment. There's always gonna be conflict.
Definitely.
I have an
Definitely.
experience to that because now I remember when I was dating someone who had a child already, and I told my sister about it. She's like, "You are too young for you to experience
To put yourself in that
put yourself in
situation.
that situation." I
Yeah,
didn't
na
understand.
vele.
I didn't understand. I was like,
Yeah.
I love kids. I think I can be able to handle.
Yeah,
She's like,
you were
"I don't
doing
think
And
it
it's
from
not even about that.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think
Yeah.
you understand the gravity of the situation that you're in currently.
Loving kids and having a kid now
It's
you need
two
to be part
different
of.
things. So I was like, I didn't understand back then. I was like, no man, it should be that easy because I love kids. I can.
Yeah.
I've been around kids. I've babysat kids. I think I can handle the kids. She's like, no, it's not only that. Comes with more.
There's a lot
There's
that
already
comes
a
into it,
mother
yeah.
there.
True.
And you know, girls like saying, "Oh, you're not man enough if you're not gonna love me with my kids."
It's emotional blackmail.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
And
You'll never
for
see
me-
here gents saying that.
Fuck that shit.
For me, it makes a lot of sense for people that have kids to date other people that have kids. There's enough people that have kids that can date other people that have kids. But you know, Khori, also the dating game is not fair. Because girls that don't have money and they see a guy that have 4 kids, they'll easily get into a relationship with that guy.
And
Because
you
in
know-
their mind, they're thinking to themselves,
There was-
this guy has money.
There was
can
this
handle all
tweet
the
where
kids.
this guy, basically they were discussing how this relationship of this guy. Let's say when you're dating a baby mama, ne? And you tell him, oh, if your baby daddy wants to get to you, or you married a baby mom, if the baby daddy wants to get to you, he must speak to me first. If he wants to buy certain things for this child, he must speak to me first. If he wants to take out the child to go where, or do 1, 2, 3, he must speak to me first. And people are saying, no, that's controlling, that's his child, and. And people, babang, it was divided basically. And other people are saying, no, but he is married to this woman. So
He
that
is.
means he does have a say to it. So basically, it also comes to this light that there'll always be this person in the picture.
Definitely.
And who will call shots, and rightfully so, because you want to hide.
That's true, dog. You know, when I think about having a child and having a child with your ex, unfortunately, Mfana, that's a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you don't want to see your ex, but because there's a child,
You have
fucking
to.
gonna see your ex probably every 2 weeks. And sometimes you don't even want to speak to them.
You're
But
gonna have
because
to.
there's a child, you're gonna have to speak to them. And you're gonna have to have a proper conversation with them. It's a lifetime thing. The other thing I'm thinking about is that unfortunately, Mfana, you can be a stepfather that stepped into this child's life and you've taken care of this child up until they got to 18. The child, Mfana, is going to fucking betray you because
Yeah.
they're gonna say Kibatla Papaka. And they're now gonna go and spend time with their father. You that have taken care of them
They are bored. They don't see efforts.
They don't give a shit.
I had a friend
Don't give a
who
shit.
said their biggest fear, because they were in the same predicament where they were mostly taking care of the kid without the father's help.
Yeah.
And she said her biggest fear is basically like the child choosing the father over her, who's been there.
It's always the case. Not
It's
they'll
always the
choose
case.
over, ne? But
They prefer
they're gonna
the
get
father.
to an age whereby they want to get to know the father. And then once they at that age where they want to get to know the father, ne,
There's
it's
nothing
gonna
you can do.
There's nothing you can do, and then you'll feel betrayed because you took 18 years to raise them,
Bro.
and in the 2 years, baponda, and then they're gonna feel like you the villain, and they like
That time the father was never there.
yeah.
Because her biggest fear was her having to struggle. She feels that her kid won't, because the kid is still young.
Yeah.
Right? and she feels that the kid won't actually see the efforts or the struggles that she had to go through in terms of raising the kid. And then now all of a sudden the father comes into the picture and saying that I want to be a father after many years, and now the kid chooses the father. And I was like, unfortunately, you don't have control over that.
And you don't.
That's why a lot of, especially emotionally intelligent women, like you like saying LSG, or you prefer emotionally intelligent women, is that what they're saying is that don't make the decision for the kid.
Yeah.
Let him call the father, let him visit the father, and let them make a decision that I don't want to visit this person anymore, or I don't want to see this person anymore because they don't treat me well. Because there was a baby mama post, the child made a decision that Hasabat don't want the father anymore because every time he makes empty promises, he doesn't pitch up to the soccer matches and whatnot, and the other kids, he gives them what this other kid doesn't have, but to him it's empty promises. Then the child is like, you know what, I'm cool. We tried, it's not working. I don't want to see him anymore. It's better that way. I think to baby mamas that feel like they will feel betrayed is when they're trying too much to either shield the child
from the
father, or they're trying to hide or prevent the father from seeing the child.
And it's unfortunate because whenever the baby mama is going to shield or try to shield the child from the disappointment that they're gonna go through with the biological father, they end up gonna look like the bad guy.
Always though.
They end up gonna look like the bad guy. But if you just let the child, I mean, it's your child, you understand, but just let them go and get disappointed by that guy, then they're gonna understand, oh, this guy is fucking, he ain't shit.
Yeah, a douchebag.
And then they're gonna know, oh, you know what, this guy, I mean, I can't continue with this guy.
Because now with her fear, I would my other friend was basically, who also has a kid who basically experiencing the same issue that she's experiencing, but she's going about it the different way, whereas that I still give access to the father, even though he's basically like a deadbeat. He's not contributing anything to my kid. He has his own family, has his own wife, and he's doing everything for his other family, not his kid, right? But she's saying that I give my kid access to the father so that, as you guys were saying, to have the experience of saying that, or making the choice of saying that, because she's now, I would say she's going into high school, so she should have the knowledge to
I know my father.
My mother does this, my dad does this, right? So the child can now see, Papa can't as much as my mom. I'll make the decision to say if I want to continue with my dad or my mom. So and she's saying that give your kid that space to make their own decision if they are of age.
And
to
I
say
think that's
that,
very fair.
She's been there from day one.
Yeah.
And my dad only is coming in now. And more to their kids in the other family than me. So she's like, give your kid grace to make that decision on their own, then for you to make that decision. Because now, if you make that decision for your kid, it can actually harm the kid in the long run.
True.
And you know, I can come back as a father when this kid is like 14 years old, and I tell her or I tell him, Mama, and then I paint the mother as a bad guy. That time I didn't give a fuck about the kid because neki busy banyana. Now that banyana ba vaile and this kid is brilliant and this kid is doing well at school. I can see the future of this kid is bright.
The mother's no longer in the picture and can't tell a side of the story.
Exactly. Now I can say, Mama, at that time I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, there's mothers like that, because now, if let's say you're only coming in at 14 years of age into your child's life, and you explain to your child, I can only come now, I can only have access to you now because now, for whatever reason, whereas before I didn't have access to you at all. Whereas it's either the mother set the tone to say that you're not going to see your father because 1, 2, 3. Whereas I see
in most cases that's what happens.
To play
sometimes
the
they use the kid
advocate
as a weapon towards the father, whereas or the father uses the weapon towards the mother.
To play the devil's advocate in closing, seeming that we're running out of time. There was this TikTok video I was watching that this lady was saying is that South Africans, although we may be shitty fathers, we make the best uncles. And if you look at the comment section, people are busy saying, dude, my child doesn't even want the father, nothing. Ubatla malume, like once the uncle. They'll
That's
fetch
true.
them at school. They don't mind paying school fees, feed the child, everything. But to be a present dad, he finds a deadbeat.
You know
and
what?
if you really think about it, you find the baby mamas play a pivotal role. In there's the person who says, you know what, I've fought years in court and spent so much money to try gain access to my child. Even once the court has ruled saying I must gain access, I'm still not getting access, and nothing is being done to the baby mama. I've given up. I'm no longer gonna try. I'm gonna leave the child to be there. I'm just saying that
Unfortunately, it paints a
there's no
shitty picture
players.
for the father.
if you can pitch in being an uncle,
There's role players.
why can't you in being the child to your own father? Because if you really look at the efforts uncles put into those kids,
But
There's many
it's a bit of a
reasons, eh?
delicate one, and I just want to comment on that one. To say, okay, just let me start with the father part. In most cases, these fathers really want to be present, but because you left a bitter
Relationship.
spouse or a bitter relationship, a bitter wife, girlfriend, whatever, they're going to make everything, or they're going to do everything in their power to ensure that you don't see that child. And then, as an uncle, just to now touch on the uncle side, as an uncle, you might not necessarily be heavily obliged to have everything done by you to get this child secured in everything that they
That's
need.
true.
So
Actually.
it might come across as, oh, umalume uyasebenza, yes, umalume is there. But because it's not really directing at them this particular responsibility, anything that malume does,
Yeah,
it's
malume
going to
can
come
come in and
across
go.
as though it's like wonders. Even though malume does it like after every 2, 3, 4 months. But a present dad requires it to be done, or is required to
24/7.
get it done 24/7.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking? So I think that might just be where the
'Cause now-
where it's not really
Yeah,
seen
'cause
as
now
in detail to say umalume is present.
Having my friend that I was referring to that had the experience where the father's not present, but still it's not present in terms of supporting the child financially, but he's there. He's still alive.
Yeah.
There's many factors that can go into this. If the father's not present and made the choice that I don't want to be present in my child's life, right? Then there's also an option, a circumstance where the father is present, but chooses not to support the child financially, but is still there for the kid.
Sure.
Where there's also a father where chooses not to be there at all.
Entirely, yeah.
Or there's a situation where the father is not present in terms of he could have passed away.
Okay,
Right?
yeah.
So with my friend, because now I don't have a kid, but I'm learning through my people around me, the
Yeah,
experiences
people,
of
yeah.
having
People
children.
that, yeah.
She tells me that as much as my baby daddy is not part of my child's life financially, he's there.
Yeah.
And having to, she says that sometimes, because now he has his own family, he has a wife and a kid and kids, right? And sometimes
Who, the baby daddy?
the baby daddy has
Okay.
his own wife and own kids.
Shit.
Sometimes he's not there for the kid. His first child, basically.
Yeah.
And so she says, my kid doesn't necessarily feel the void because she's mostly friends with guys, right? And says to her,
Mostly friends with?
mostly friends with guys.
Oh,
And so those guys don't have kids of their own.
Yeah.
But they fill in the role that the father would do in terms of, like, recently there was a kid's graduation.
Yeah.
All her friends were there, not the father of the child. So the kid doesn't necessarily feel that the father's not there because now her friends are there as uncles. They're playing that role of
the father's friends.
no, the mother's friends.
Or the mother's friends.
The mother is mostly friends with guys, with males.
there's a similar video where this lady Nabua Ari, you know what? The father's child might not be present, but my brothers are there.
Yes.
And then it's like they were having a prize something. And you can see how comfortable that child is around the uncles.
There's a role.
I understand that. Because especially if the lady's still living at home, fathers is not only temporary. Because there's some that actually take the child to school every day.
Yes.
There's like, what do you call it? Like
Piggyback, yeah.
Yeah, piggyback, right? Like Wana Alimo, and every morning take the child to school and collect the child from school. By the time the mother comes back, the child is eaten and. So like even like
So that's like proper family
Role-
support.
That's what
You
you're
know,
saying.
that's
That
proper
now,
family
because
support.
the father's not there, my friend's playing a
However,
role of the uncle, of the
that-
male
you know, the
figure
other
in the
thing-
child's life.
That is short term.
Yeah.
Because there will be a time in that child's life where they now
they're gonna yearn for father's love.
the fuck is my
Definitely.
father?
Definitely.
Yes, it's lovely when they're trying to teach them a father figure or they're trying to provide a father figure. But there will be a time when I want to fucking know who the fuck is my father.
Oh,
The-
who
you
I
know,
am. You
the
are
Who
other
I
thing-
am, yeah. You get what I mean?
The other thing I want to say is that I've had the similar thing in my life, right? So I can tell you, Horena, my uncles have done more than my father has ever done in my life, right?
Sure.
Even though my uncles were able to opt in and opt out anytime they want.
Yeah.
So meaning they can choose
You're not
when they want to
guaranteed.
do it.
Yeah.
And then they can choose that, you know what,
don't
I've
want
done
to do it.
enough.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
need to do anymore.
Yeah. They're not
But
obliged.
because
yeah.
they've done more than my father, I can remember they've done more. Even though they did it at the time they wanted to.
'Cause they were there.
And then at the time they didn't want to, they just
Yeah.
decided that, you know what, I'm not doing anything. It's a good thing to have an uncle because the uncle can fill that void a bit, right? But also, I can tell you right now, Jorge, even though I went to school and I went to crèche with kids that have fathers in their homes, I've never filled the void. I've never felt like, why is my father not around?
Yeah.
Now I've always knew of my father. Before he moved away from the neighborhood that we were staying in,
Yeah.
I used to see that nigga and I never knew where he was staying. I know he used to stay with us and then at some point he left. I don't know, maybe my mother kicked him away. But at some point he left. And then I used to see him. So he was a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
So he used to fix cars. And he was very good at that because he always had a job of fixing a car. Every time I saw him, he was fixing cars, right? He was so good at that. But there would be times where I would see him like at tavern with his friends, they're drinking. And then he would call me, for an example, if I'm passing by the tavern, he would call me and say, Zogalai, Twara so. And then probably after then I'll see him like after 2 weeks because I don't even know where he stays, right?
Sure.
My uncles have played more roles than him, but I can tell you, Jorge, every time my uncles have played a role more than him, it was because they were doing something for me. For an example, my cousin that you know that I
Yeah,
came
yeah.
here with the other time,
Yeah.
my 4 years back. Specifically, his father has played more role than my father in my life. Because every time maybe the Kolo di Koala used to go and visit Kobo, and especially in December time,
Yeah.
and when they were buying him clothes, they would buy me too. And now I grew up with a mother that's not working. The last time my mother worked was in 97.
Sure.
Right? So all the way coming here, like to 2024, my mother has not worked. Right? Yes, Kimutoro Kang, so she was able to make ends meet here and there. You know? So what I'm trying to say is it's a good thing to have an uncle because now I'm playing the same role to my nephews and niece,
Sure.
right? And now, even though my uncles were there for me, I'm trying to elevate the role that my uncles played on me
Extended to you.
to them,
Sure.
right? And I mean, in the morning I was telling you, Jorge, one of my nephews, Ufedite Skolo, and I'm trying to teach them a skill that I have. It's a skill that I can pass on to him.
So they can
And
make
it's a
ends
skill
meet.
that I already have the equipment to teach him the skill.
Yeah.
He does not have to. Well, when I the skill, I acquired the skill in my 30s. He doesn't have to even fucking get to 20
Yeah.
to acquire the skill.
Yeah.
Sure.
He can fucking get
Start
it.
now, yeah.
And he can go far with it because he has so much time in his hands. Right? So also in I don't know about other cultures, but in Zulu culture, they say Hore Malome is actually supposed to be, especially if the father is absent. Malume is supposed to be the father of the child. Meaning, Hore, even if the mother of the child, which is Khaitsedi, my sister, gets married, he's supposed to leave the child behind.
So Akiti
And asaleli why? And then the father is not the father, but the uncle is supposed to play the father role.
So my
the child.
my understanding with the culture part of it, ne? The mother's sisters become the mother to the child.
Yeah.
The father's brothers become the father to the child.
That's true.
That's why even back in history, if the father dies, then one of the brothers must marry the.
Could marry.
Yeah.
You understand? So what you're saying is factual to a certain extent, of which is right. That's why in African culture, no child is an orphan.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're losing the plot in many instances. Because like you check out my cousins.
It takes a village.
Yeah, the ones that are derailing of the norms of society, that are doing bad in life, it's ones that never had guidance. Because the father comes with guidance, is a disciplinarian and all that shit. So, who's to discipline them? Because
now, as
to
the
put them
matriarch, you have a certain extent that you can go for your, let's say, a son.
Yeah.
As a mother. At some point, the son will need a father figure.
That's what, like the role that you're saying you're playing for your nephews and nieces. I'm sure if you recall, you don't have to answer now, but you're more of a disciplinarian than you are a friend to them.
Yeah.
That's okay, sure. And the more they grow, as soon as they get to teenage years, they'll I will flop and no.
Bro,
Even if it's not
the other one tried to fight me.
Yeah, man. You've got into that stage now.
The other one tried to fight me.
What did you do?
Takanya pa, chito. Imunta mali for him to understand. You can't. You can't. And then next week, na don't try.
Don't worry. Yeah. Hey, to be careful.
And now they do that, dog. They're very spiteful. These
They are, bro.
No wonder brother Nigma are unkulunkulu akafuna
No, but you played your role. You know, as I mentioned before, that, you know, when it comes to molding kids in a certain way, some kids just don't necessarily conform to that certain way in which you. So you did your part as someone that is a father figure to this person. So if they choose to conform, you know, as they grow, they come to understand.
Yeah.
If they choose to conform, it's on them. If they choose not to, it's also on them. But you, as a father figure,
so long as you played your role in trying to guide them
in
into
the
the right
way.
direction as much as you possibly can. And you're right to say, you know, in some cases you just can't. But in the saying says you can take a horse to the water, but you can't necessarily make it
drink the water.
Yeah, make it drink the water.
You
type
did
of thing,
what
you know? Or
you
take
could
the
do.
horse to the well, but you can't make it drink. Yeah.
You did what you did best, what you know what was best for them, and what you would have liked for yourself or for your nephew. Or
I think the children in the society are just totally different. They're just molded different, and I think there's a lot of defense for them. Baba Bita Banaba Mandela, yeah, they call them Banaba Mandela. Freedom. But I think that's a conversation. It's a conversation.
They fight back, or they fight back.
Get these dumbass.
They fight back more than they go to the
more
police
than they go to
station.
the police
They fight back.
station.
Oh, they fight back though.
Bama ngesicimo lova. Angisoyi lova manje. Yini ngathi anahlonipha lova zongihlanyisa. But anyway, good people. Street Squad, thank you very much for tuning in. It is that time again. I think we've really spoken about proper topics on this episode. I think these are very educational. These are topics that, you know, most people can actually just engage in, just, you know, throwing a comment on or just telling us about your own experiences about. And feel free to do so. You know, give us those comments, give us those chats. Let us talk about it further if you want us to. And once again, thank you very much for tuning in to GSL, Global Streetz Live. We are going to be in your faces for as long as we can, for as long as we have to. And it's practically forever. And we are out of here.